attacks in 2 American cities, New York and in Washington.
The whole building has collapsed.
So I arrived to America in September 11, 2001. The journey, once I got here, it was the 9/11 incident, so it was kind of hard, you know. It was unbelievable what was going on. My life in Mexico as a kid growing up, it was a lot of drugs. I remember selling, you know, killing.
Cartels. A lot of gore and blood, you know, quite often found executed in their vehicles.
Corruption has eaten away at the Mexican police.
Methamphetamine.
There's more than just dead bodies in this city. There's drugs too.
My life in Mexico as a kid growing up, the neighborhood where I grew up, there was a lot of violence, a lot of stealing, a lot of killing each other for territory, prostitution. You know, it was hard for me to grow up in that neighborhood. The experience coming to America was not the best. It was hard. Left my father back home, which was a sad part for me, you know, because I was used to having both of my parents together. It was a lot of, you know, hot days, no food, no water, you know, walk for miles sometimes at 90 degrees. It was hot, and it all came down, you know, to where you got caught and you had to do it all over again. We tried every method that they had, like going through tunnels.
The U.S.-Mexican border goes from San Diego to Brownsville, Texas. 42 border crossings, 1,969 miles.
I was in ESL classes, you know, the summer came around, and it was very hard for me to keep up with the English language, because, you know, my peers around me, they talk Spanish, and my English wasn't good. So it was a hard thing to keep up with what they taught me, because during the summer, you know, there's no help for kids for ESL. And by the time I got back to school, I was back on the same base, you know, knowing nothing, forgetting words. So, I mean, it was hard to go through the summer and not having the help or at least a book to read to help me, you know, stay where I'm at. I think summer learning loss is a problem, you know, for in general, all groups of immigrants, because, you know, they come here and they struggle with the language. The summer learning loss, it does affect every ethnic group, you know, because it is difficult during the summer for the kids to learn the language. Some of them are traumatized from back home. They got a bag full of dreams. Some of them are physically, mentally, emotionally hurt.
It's no question that summer learning impacts English language learners and children who are new to this country. The language spoken in the home is, in many cases, not English. And so the loss of access to that language over the summer, it could be detrimental. Many of those children don't have direct access to textbooks, individuals who can ask questions after children read something. And so they lose that practice. So that sets them back. And so that's a real concern for us in making sure that we have programs designed specifically for those young people, so that there's not a loss of the language acquisition and reading skills over the summer. La Puerta Abierta, the summer program, it helps, you know, the kids maintain their English skills. That's the main priority to them. It also helps them maintain, you know, for them not to keep up with what's going on outside on the streets or whatever the case is for them, because some of them are here with no parents.
The mission of La Puerta Abierta, the Open Door, is to improve access to quality mental health care for vulnerable populations in the Latino immigrant community. So for our particular population of kids, which is a very, very specialized population, because these kids have language struggles, They're not necessarily traditional learners. There's been an influx of Latino youth that have coming here without their families, so they don't have that support system that maybe some of the other populations have, and that creates a whole nother layer of challenges.
The surge of unaccompanied children and adults with children are arriving at one sector of the border. We have sufficient facilities to detain, house, and process them appropriately while attending to unaccompanied children with the care and compassion that they deserve while they're in our custody.
Hasta esta noche. ¿Sí? Okay. Besos. Okay. You're melting. Summer learning loss. I have heard of that term, and I understand the concept. For the majority of the kids that we work with, years are lost. Years are lost. We need for these kids to remain engaged in learning during the summer months. So we use creative ways of teaching and instructing and helping them feel good about their skills the way that we've been doing it all summer, through art, through culture, through gardening, through cooking. And so they're learning, equations, they're learning math, they're learning science, they're learning dimensions and shapes and new words, both in English and Spanish. No, perfect. Christian was referred to us originally by his lawyer. He was in some legal proceedings based on his status, his documentation status. He missed a lot of time from school and eventually ended up dropping out. And so when we met him, he had been out of school for about 2 years. And when I met him, it was very clear that he had so many goals for himself and he really wanted to be somebody, but he was working in a restaurant, working very hard, helping to take care of his mom because it's just the two of them here. And his father had been deported back to Mexico several years ago.
Uh-oh, my mom's calling me.
You have
Hello?
paint on your finger.
No. No. Estoy todavía en las parcelas. Como en 45 minutos o una hora. Sí. Okay, adiós.
By engaging in an educational program and realizing that he actually has skills and he doesn't have to work in a restaurant his whole life, he started to have some dreams for himself. He's always loved boxing. He started to go back to the gym and take up boxing.
I'm doing a stencil of this guy right here. His name is Garrett Wilson. He goes to my boxing gym.
After he gets his GED, talking about college and taking college courses, which is something I don't think he ever imagined for himself.
That's a form of respect.
You gonna pinky promise here? That you're gonna go to school?
Yeah, I got.
Promises, I take them seriously. You go on time, and if you have to get on your knees and beg them to not discharge you, that's what you're gonna do.
Huh? Get on my knees.
You have it on camera now.
Get on my knees.
Yeah, tomorrow's like it. You gotta go. Right?
But get on my knees? Why would I get on my knees?
To say, please don't discharge me from the
Mr. John, you're not going to discharge me. That's what I'm going to say. You discharge me, I'm going to throw you right out the window that's behind you. It's been hard for me lately to get my GED because I've been struggling with some problems at home. But I'm looking to overcome that pretty soon. My future would be, getting my GED, of course, would be probably going to CCP, starting off with community college, and trying to look for a career probably in the nursing field or mechanical engineering.